JB here, JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Thursday, January 22nd, 3:30, 3:22 on this fine afternoon. Talk really quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from there. S&P in the green, up about 0.4%. Small caps rallying again, all on the heels of this relief. I won't even call it a relief rally, but I don't even know if you call it back to normal rally. Uh, but all the fuss to start the week is kind of taking a back seat. And now maybe we can get back to some fun stuff with the market. We have earnings after close. Intel next week. Mega names start to report, right? Some of the Mag 7. You have Apple, Meta. Should be fun, right? Tesla. I think Tesla reports. Um, yeah, so far cry from where we were Tuesday afternoon when I'm doing the rant. We were kind of still in the midst of what was going to happen with this tariff threat with these 8 European countries, the threat of tariffs and the whole, deja vu all over again from April. That got removed, and now it's okay. What's the next headwind that the market's going to throw at us? Let's see here. Sorry. Yields lower today, so don't have to worry about that just yet. But now we'll have to worry what the Fed does next week. So anyway, I don't want to get too much into next week. Talk quick about some of the names this week and maybe some things for tomorrow. But small caps. Let's see. Why don't I have this here? Right in the upper Bollinger Band. Sorry about that, folks. But anyway, in regards to the SPY, 686 was the kind of the area of support. We're down here. We're having a little pull here, so we're pretty much $3 off the highs from 215. We close, and if we close up 0.4% today, not too bad. But of course, you're staring at the highs at 1 o'clock. We're at 691 on the SPY. I'll take it. Hopefully, there's some juice left tomorrow. Hang on a second. Sorry about that, folks. Anyway, all right. So just quick on individual names. First, I'll just talk about ROKU, right? So ROKU is one of the names I got some spec calls at the start of the week. Somewhat of a sympathy play for Netflix earnings, and then as kind of like a bottom bouncing play. And take a look where it was. The stock started the year 115, all the way down to nearly 100. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the chart. And then I was bouncing Tuesday looking for some spec lottos. So I didn't call them lottos because we still had some time to go before expiration. But when the stock is $102, whatever, I'm getting the 110 strikes. Kind of, I guess definitely risky, right? So back over its 50-day moving average. Yesterday, the close pulled it out, and then here it is today, slow and steady. I mean, it's a slow chop. Finally, just broke to highs just a little while ago of 107.40. The calls kind of, I wouldn't say back to life, but they were pretty rough at the open. I'm just going to hold them into tomorrow. It's one of those names. I mean, it's not going to take much for it to get going, whether it be an upgrade. And I think it trades north of 610, 110, even without some kind of catalyst. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. But if you did follow and you're looking for an out, right now is good. I think they're still 20 something cents at the mid. All right. So that's ROKU. And then Moderna, right? I keep messing this name up. It's like a tongue twister for me for some reason. I don't know why. But got those spec lottos in the middle of yesterday, even while the markets were kind of still trying to find their footing before the POTUS update in regards to Greenland. And then once that came out, off to the races, right? It was 49 to change at the close. Was able to lock some of my 52 strikes in for 100%. And then it had resumption this morning, right? I talked about story. I think it's an $18 billion company, $6 billion in cash. They had positive data with Merck. And it just looked like one of those names that's like you can get some FOMO. And not that I like to pull the chart back in the COVID era when Iran went bonkers, but you could say, hey, maybe this runs 60, 65. So at the same token, my calls expire tomorrow. Not a name I've traded in a couple of years, so I locked some more in right at the open for I already had written. Sorry about that, folks. I already had freebies, but they were 500%, so I took some more off for 500%. The last for close to 600%, and then what I did is the thing when it opened, the spread were so wide on the calls, it was tough to find a decent strike to kind of to catch the FOMO, right? So if there was continuation, I want to be able to lock in the weeklies and then still be able to take advantage of the rally. So finally, I was able to get some 60s for next week. The stock gets up to 54 and change, lock some of those calls out for 50%, and then it started to dip, right? And once it got down to $53, the premium started coming out of the calls. Maybe it goes to $60 for next week. Maybe it goes to 70. I don't know, but I don't have that high conviction just yet. So I locked the last out to lock the rest of the profits in. And now it's a name I'll revisit, right? But thankfully caught the wave, rode it, and then I'll continue to look at it. If you take a look, right, it's above the upper Bollinger Band. It's tough to find, uh, like what's the where would it go? Blue sky breakout. Is there resistance? So maybe 55 today looks like it. So if it gets over that tomorrow, maybe I'll look for some other opportunities to play that for upside. TTD, and frustrating because look like the calls. Like if you had told me it was up nearly 4% today, the calls I got yesterday, I thought they'd be up 100%. I think they were 50% before. Boom, boom. Of course, I didn't pull these up. Oh, they're getting close. So 31 by 36, I got them 22. But anyway, trade this desk is setting up nice. And this is a name that might set off some alerts, right? I mean, if you look at it, people, of course, similar to Moderna, I'm getting it right. I'm working on it. Similar kind of situation where you have a chart, you pull it back, say, wow, this thing was, it's split. So when you look at the trade desk, it had a 10-for-1 split. But, it was a $100, $110 stock back at its highs. So, people look at it, it's down here to $30, but it trades at a high valuation, right? So in regards to its revenue, I think it's like a 10 or 15 times multiple, even with the big pull, but it's a name that's still growing 10, 15, 20% on a year-over-year basis. I think there's an opportunity for a bounce. It's always one of those names I look at. And if it catches fire, I can see 38, 39, 40. The 50-day moving average 38, 62. So if I get a chance, obviously, like I've been doing, I'll lock some of the calls in to cover costs and then ride the rest. But this could be a name that catches fire. That's the trade desk. NKLR was just taken off a little while ago, 675. If you were listening to Musk, he did a little surprise interview at Davos. He talked about energy, right? I mean, he has the same little spiel that he always does when he does these interviews, right? He talks about the human species being interplanetary and all the things about Mars and all the different things that he does. But when the big thing that's kind of taken over in regards to what he does with his talks now is the energy side of things, right? And, that last year or even 6 months ago, I don't think the energy conversation was that big that where it's become just now, right? And of course, you see some of the stocks already taking advantage of those of those opportunities. But there's names I think they're just going to catch fire, and KLR continues to be one of those names I look at it just a matter of time before it's like a ticking time bomb. That's at least that's how I look at it. So still have the February 10s. If it starts catching fire, don't be surprised if I add some speculative. But anyway, Musk kind of like talked about you've seen this already. The satellites going in, they're going to do solar and have these, the machines in space so that we're not consuming all this energy. And then talking about China, right? And if you look at China, China has the ability, or at least the resource in regards to the energy, where they're far ahead of the U.S. in solar and nuclear and all. Well, not just going on a tangent here, but in a nutshell, that's why when you see me talking about Solar Edge, and of course I miss Solar Edge today, these are the reasons why you see me get calls on, because I think there's still opportunity to the upside in some of these names. So that's Solar Edge. TTD just hit highs here today, so hopefully those go into the close. Just other names while in the conversation of Musk and the conversation of names I've missed last year. I would say missed, but I always talk about the Turns, right? Turns Pharmaceuticals. But Lemonade, right? How many times I trade that since it was 20, $30? The squeezes from 40 to 50, then to 70 to 80. Most recently, I played the 90 strikes. I forget if I had to post earnings. And then just waiting for this one to break out. And since November, it's been trading between 70 and 90. And then finally, right, there was news Tuesday morning talking about slashing insurance on the FSD for Tesla. It's just such a great story, because if you look at things, right, I wouldn't call insurance recession proof, but people need insurance, right? Homeowner, all that stuff. So it's just a business that, if someone can come and, find a way to do it better and it just Lemonade is just a solution. I'm not trying to go on a tangent on different names right now. It's not the time to do it, but just kicking myself for missing it on Tuesday morning. I'm watching the market's tumbling, and it's like, who in their right mind is looking to get calls, right? And so that's kind of like goes through my head. I'm like looking at Lemonade. The 90 strikes were like 40 or 50 cents, and Lemonade was like, I don't know if it was 81. Maybe it was. Where did it open on? I think it opened 81. And then it was 85, 86. And even that, I'm looking at the 90s and I passed. And then sure enough, went all the way to 99 and changed today. Let's see where it is right now. So just moral of the story. It's another one of those names that, 99.90 hit today. I could see this one. I've said in the past, 150, then 200, then 250. And I've said this in the past in regards to insurance companies. They're so hard to value, and the thing with those insurance companies, it's easy for bears to make this bear case on them because it just all the numbers that go into it's not a traditional like easy earnings revenue story. There's so many different things that go into it. So which to me creates opportunity on both sides. All right, so and don't be surprised. Lemonade tomorrow, if it shows signs of holding its gains, I could see it trading north of 100 into the weekend. Just other names, SSYS back at 1150 here. 12, I think it was 1210 was the highs from last Thursday, Friday when that little bull piece came out. Not going to add any more strikes. Still have the March 1250s, the March 1750s. Did I or the let me see all my strikes. The 1250s, the February. And I don't have all my stuff in front of me. Sorry. Well, needless to say, I'm just going to hold my positions. I already locked a lot of the positions in for freebies and from some profits. But my thoughts here. You start looking at 1250 handle breaks, off to the races, right? And that's it, folks. Hopefully tomorrow, at the start of the week, if things kind of continued, it's tough to get bullish on names a little bit longer term. But now is that kind of like the headwinds kind of got removed a little bit. You could start to make the case that maybe time to nibble some of these names that are ready to take off for the next leg. And one of the scenarios I always talked about was the baton being taken from the mega cap names and given to the small cap names, and that's happened. It's just how far does this small cap run go? And hopefully it has legs at least into March, right? That'd be phenomenal. Anyway, so have a great day, folks. Rock and roll.